We've all heard the saying that all press is good press, but in the case of Tesla, where safety is so imperative, is that really the case? Well, during the past few weeks, Elon Musk has been on what the media calls a Twitter rant or a Twitter meltdown, which I would just refer to as the truth. So, what is all this controversy about? Well, let's talk about it. Actually, I would just call it truth. You know, he's just calling out what's obvious. And that's where they have the issue. Well, here's the thing. Scientists call out the obvious. Most intelligent people do the same thing. So, I'm not really sure where the problem is, except for the fact that they're just hurt because he called him out. So, let's go on. In his most recent, the post that kind of got this all fired up, the tweet that seemingly sparked this backlash from the media was when he wrote, oh man. So the tweet that sparked all of this controversy and this backlash from the media, let's listen to it. It stated that the holier-than-thou hypocrisy of big media companies who lay the claim to truth but only publish enough to sugarcoat a lie is why the public no longer respects them. And that's completely accurate when you take into consideration all of the statistics and most recent polls gathered by people bipartisan across the board. So let's take a look at those. So we have both sides of the aisle agree that the media is the problem. This is in the latest Gallup poll. 71% of Democrats, 76% of Republicans. The spread of inaccurate information on the internet is a major problem. And that's mainly by mainstream media. They try to portray that as alternative news sites, but that's just completely inaccurate if you look at any of the polls. And I even looked at this, 10 reasons why America doesn't trust the media. And these are some good points. Alright, so let's take a look at some of Mr. Musk's other posts on Twitter. Alright, so he tweeted out to, I guess an editor from somewhere, who cares. Problem is, journalists are under constant pressure to get max clicks and earn advertising dollars or get fired. Tricky situation, as Tesla doesn't advertise, but fossil fuel companies, gas, diesel, car companies, are among the world's biggest advertisers. I would call that a conundrum. So that might be why the backlash. Maybe they don't want to really write this, but who knows? He proposed creating what he called a media credibility rating site, which I absolutely agree with. It's going to kind of be something like a Snoops that actually is for truth before they were corrupted. You know, go back to the Truth when they were doing Truth. And kind of like they had a rate your professor back in the day on college campuses where you could go and rate your professor, and before somebody would take that class, they would go in, do I want this professor, does he meet my needs? And they would go off of that. It's kind of like a Yelp. Same thing. What's wrong with that? Why would you be upset about it if you were being completely truthful? I wouldn't be. I'd say, go at it. Cool, whatever, it is what it is. But that's where it got really heated, because they don't want to be rated like they rate other people, which is strange. That's the hypocrisy right there too. Interesting. So they said going to create a site where the public can rate the core truth of any article and track the credibility of the score over time, and each journalist and editor and the publication. Thinking of calling it Pravda. Interesting. I love it. He also did an April Fool's bankruptcy joke. I guess it was in March, you know, with the tensions of Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, CEO, you know, whatever he is these days. So he deleted his Facebook, his personal Facebook, and the SpaceX and Tesla Facebook pages, along with some remarks that he made on there, which, you know, riled some feathers of Facebook. And so he made a joke about Tesla goes bankrupt, Palo Alto, California, April 1st, 2018, despite intense efforts in raising money, including a last-ditch mass sale of Easter eggs. We are sad to report that Tesla has gone completely and totally bankrupt. So bankrupt. You can't believe it? That's a joke, people. Like, how hard is that? So by mid-April, poor Elon Musk had another situation on his hands caused by more media. Go figure. Not because of things that were actually happening, but just because of media. Because they like to overblow things and make big deals out of nothing. All right. I'm not biased, though. In an article published on April 16th, the Center for Investigative Reporting, a non-profit news organization, cataloged a number of serious injuries experienced by Tesla factory workers. So they went on to say that he was kind of fudging the numbers about what was really going on with workplace injuries and stuff like that, which were false, and he was correct at getting upset about it. So let's take a look at the fact versus fiction. So they claim first that we do not accurately report injuries involving temporary workers at the factory, and we revised our 2016 OSHA 300 logs to include additional temporary work hours to lower our injury rate. The fact, when we identified some work hours and injuries that had not previously been shared with us by temp agencies prior to the submission of our 2016 OSHA 300 logs, we updated our logs to make them as accurate as possible. There's nothing nefarious about this. We're just trying to be very accurate. The next claim, we have an aversion to using the color yellow in the factory to promote the safety because we supposedly think that it is unattractive. This is ridiculous. Okay, so the fact, this is truly ridiculous. Anyone who's ever been in the factory can see that the color yellow is everywhere. Let's scroll up. We've done little to improve safety following previous injuries at the factory. In addition to making significant improvements to build process of the Model S and Model X, we designed Model 3 specifically with safety in mind. We've also hired a VP Environmental Health Safety, EHS, and continue to grow that team significantly. Each department has its own safety team that meets regularly to increase safety awareness and recommends improvements, which many of which have already been implemented. We've also increased safety communications and signage in the factory and improved our return on work program so that employees get paid their normal wage even if they work a less demanding job while recovering from an injury. These are just a few examples of how we continue to work towards our safety goals. The other claim, employees do not get enough training. All new manufacturing employees participate in a multi-day training program where they learn the essentials of manufacturing, safety, and ergonomics. In our state-of-the-art training facility, this all happens before they even ever step foot on the factory floor. And once they do, they continue to receive on-the-job training to ensure they are safe, they're working safely. This is not to say that there aren't real issues that we need to be dealt with at our Tesla, or that we've made no mistakes within the 37,000 people working at our company. However, there should be absolutely no question that we care deeply about the well-being of our employees and that we try our absolute hardest to do the right thing and to fail less often, which with each passing month, we improve safety further and will keep doing so until we have the safest factory in the world by far. We welcome any suggestions that might help us achieve this goal. I wanted to scroll up here to the beginning where he says, so it says a not so revealing story. We welcome constructive criticism, but those who care about journalistic integrity should strive for the truth above all. Unfortunately, the writers at Reveal, I don't know what, have published an article that paints a completely false picture of Tesla and what it is actually like to work here. In our view, what they portray as an investigative journalism is in fact ideologically motivated attack by an extremist organization working directly with union supporters to create a calculated disinformation campaign against Tesla. The piece even includes an interview with WorkSafe, the same organization that the UAW enlisted to publish a negative report against Tesla last year, and whose board includes labor union officials and advocates. Our goal is to be the safest factory on earth. Last year, despite going through the extreme challenges building an entirely new Model 3 production system, we nonetheless reduced our injury rate by 25%. Through a lot of hard work, and our injury rate, which we diligently track, record, and update, is half what it was in the final years of GM and Toyota, when GM and Toyota owned and ran this same Fremont factory before it was closed and Tesla took it over. So, there you go. So, after all of this, he began to attack, this is their words, against the Center for Investigative Reporting. In separate tweets, he reiterated that aspects of April's story were demonstrably false and appeared to call the primary finding of the story BS. I believe that because I read the facts. And y'all did too. Y'all just got to see them. They were demonstrably false. And so whenever you look at the actual, statistics of how safe Tesla really is, when you consider, let's look at the fatalities, okay? So in the U.S., there is one automotive fatality every 86 million miles across all vehicle types, okay? For Tesla, there is one fatality, some of them including a known pedestrian. So maybe it's the pedestrian that gets killed, and they're counting that, which the other ones are not counting that taking it into consideration, for every 320 million miles. So that's easy. 320 million or 86 million? Well, maybe if you've had Common Core, you might be a little confused. But 320, although it's a bigger number, is good. You want more miles, less fatalities. So that puts Tesla very safe on the record here. But they don't want to post about that. They want to make front page news of any type of wrecks, accidents, anything like that. Actually, there was a good... So, this is the one I was looking for. It is super messed up that Tesla crash resulting in a broken ankle is front page news. And the 40,000 people who die in the U.S. each year pretty much goes without coverage. And he tweeted that to the Washington Post because they had it as front page news. Oh my gosh, the Teslas are blowing up everywhere! Because it's not what's going on. I mean, let's get real. And they do this with so many things, and they like to attack, and they apparently are just so upset about his optimism, which I find disheartening. It's like they are upset that he's so optimistic when he's talking about being a household name and stuff like this. They don't like that. They're like, oh, not gonna happen, you're gonna be like Porsche and that's as far as you're gonna go. Well, that's crazy. If he wants to dream that big, let him. I mean, whatever. And I cannot leave without saying one tweet that is just absolutely my favorite. I hold near and dear to my heart. That he tweeted out to the Flat Earth Society. He said, quote, "Hey, Flat Earth Society, how come there's no meeting of the Flat Mars Society?" This is their response. They said, because we can actually see that Mars is a globe. I have no words. But it's so funny. See, he always does that. He gets these jabs in at him, and he's making light. He's being a nice guy. He's making, I don't know, himself known. Do you know of the owners of any other company? Not big companies like that. But he puts himself out there, but not too much. And he's funny. Even when he's not trying to be all the time. But I like it. And the only reason they don't like it is because they know they're lying, and it's going to hurt their reputations if they keep lying. Because we're just going to continue our, you know, whatever we do here, which is, I don't know, journalism from YouTube. So whatever, independent journalism is going to be the thing of tomorrow, especially if you people in the mainstream media don't clear up your act today, which it's still probably going to happen because we like to keep you on your toes. Alright, that's about it. So I had a great time talking about Elon Musk and his Twitter rant, which was absolutely quite hilarious, I find. So if y'all would like to subscribe, like the video, share it with Elon, that would be great. I would happily drive a Tesla. I don't know, we have like 2 little charging places around here, one at the Target. I live in the South, but we have a couple places, okay? So y'all share it on Twitter. Tweet it to him. If he gets it a few hundred times, maybe he'll look at it. Alright guys, let's keep it honest. Truth matters. Says look the bell. Because it does. Bye guys.